Hello, I am here to do my check-in with you all for the wrapping up of my second round of Chloe Ting's 2022 weight loss challenge. And just to let you all know how it went and what the experience was like for me to go through that, final intense week of training where we kicked it up a notch. I've also added in weights this cycle of going through the challenge, which I didn't the first time around. I just focused on body weight. So the intensity has really picked up for me. And on top of it, I was doing this Ayurvedic cleanse with the Kapha Reset group through my other gig, Cobra's Medicine Bag, where I do all my Ayurvedic work. And that course is active right now. And so we got a group of us that are going through an Ayurvedic cleanse together. And it's kind of panchakarma style, so when you're cleansing on that level, there's a lot of stuff that comes up, sometimes emotionally, sometimes mentally, definitely physically. And when you're cleansing and you're clearing all the old gunk out, like you don't always feel your best, you can feel kind of tired and run down. Sometimes you're headachy, sometimes you're nauseous, and so I really didn't know how this was going to go, and I was curious if it was actually going to give me better results, since during a cleanse you kind of steer clear of certain foods that can clog the detoxification channels, mainly sugar and white flour and dairy, in general can impede the cleansing process in Ayurveda. So normally those are foods that, I enjoy in moderation because, well, everything's on the menu for me as an intuitive eater. There is no food that I'm not allowed to have. However, when I am going through a cleanse, which only is for 1 week, twice a year at spring equinox and fall equinox, I do just, go without those things, for that 1 week's time. And I view it as self-care. I'm really getting my body set up to, be its strongest and most vital as I enter into that new season. And those tend to be kind of sensitive times of transition when we're moving, out of the winter's time into spring like we are now. And, again, when we're moving out of summer into the fall. So it's nice to sort of like strengthen the body's defenses and, clear all the old stagnant energy out of the way. We tend to have things like allergies come up during the spring season. There's also, the spring colds and flus that go around. And likewise, in the fall season, we're looking at the same thing. We do have to be aware of cold and flu season. So, to do these cleanses and sort of clear out those detoxification channels, it really can bolster you and prevent you from getting sick in the season when that's kind of a more prevalent, and I really, had an interesting experience this round because I ended up hitting my cycle unexpectedly, and I wasn't anticipating that. And normally in Ayurveda, when you're on menses, you shouldn't do anything. It's really advised to take it easy, to just relax, get extra rest if you need it, don't exercise. Yeah, so here I was, doing a cleanse, and that's pretty involved in and of itself. And then on top of it, I have the most intense week of the Chloe Ting 2022 weight loss challenge, which is, 6 days of training as opposed to the normal 5 that we do that are usually broken up by 2 days of active rest that make it a lot more doable, And I ended up having an interesting experience because I was really low energy. My energy was just so down, and all I wanted to do was curl up in a ball and sleep. And I really didn't want to work out. Not because I don't enjoy the workouts or what I'm getting from it, because obviously it's been a really positive experience for me and I've actually loved every moment of it, even the most challenging parts. But just because that's not what my body was wanting. And I'm so used to listening to my body and responding to its needs at this point as an intuitive eater. My whole approach to fitness, to nutrition, it's all intuitively based. It's all based on listening to my body. And even with this Chloe Ting challenge, yes, it's a very structured training program. Each of her challenges is all the details are accounted for, right? And I'm following along with the program she's laid out. But before I came to that, intuitively, I leaned in and my body said, I'm ready for this. Like, I want this more intense movement. I really want to work some stuff out through training, not just to strengthen and, get myself closer toward my goal to be in the best shape of my life by the time I turned 50 on October 13th this year, but also just because I felt like I needed to recapture, that spirit in me, my fire. There's this really tenacious side to my character um, that I kind of became disconnected from over the years, where, if I have a goal, if I set my mind on something, nothing's going to stop me from getting there. And I've started to tap into that a little bit more over the past couple years, in relation to my career, and I've been very focused and driven in that way. But this was just like a personal goal, just for me. And being healthy and fit, especially as I move into this next stage of my life, is so important to me. I don't want to be in my golden years and to be incapacitated in any way, or have my quality of life diminished because I didn't take care of my body. And you do start thinking about things like this as get up there, out of the 40s, and you're kind of heading into that next stage of life. I just really want to be vital. I've seen a lot of the people around me, didn't go that route. They didn't take care of themselves, and I'm watching them, go in and get all these surgeries and struggle with really serious health issues. And it's hit close to home, even in my own family. And I've shared that with you all about my father and heart disease and his bypass surgery that he had to have, his emergency bypass surgery. I just don't want to go down that road. And I'm a firm believer that I can avoid it. And I'm not buying into this, genetic history that means, because there's so many people in my bloodline that have struggled in this way, that also means I have to struggle in this way. I'm not of that mindset. I believe that if I'm really focused on my self-care, if I take preventative measures, I don't have to take that on. And so I'm starting to be more focused in this regard. But I'm a dancer, I'm a dancer, and I still have a couple of things on my bucket list as a dancer. And one of those things is that I really want to do a feather fan dance down on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. It's like one of the things that I want to do before my time's up on this earth. And I would really like to just be in top form when I do that. And I might, I don't know. I'm kind of getting the bug a little bit. I've missed hitting the stage. I've done burlesque for a number of years, and I really enjoyed it. It was a very empowering experience for me. It allowed me to have this like ownership of my body and my sensuality, even as a larger woman, and it felt just so empowering, to just sort of thumb my nose at all these body ideals and beauty ideals, and just get up there and dance and put on a show and bring in the theatrics and let myself be seen in that way, you know? So um, it's really interesting. It's really interesting because, you know, one of the things that has always frustrated me about this extra weight I've had hanging on from, you know, just all the abuse I put my body through in the past with my history of eating disorder and the way that affected my metabolism, the way that it affected my thyroid, you know, threw me into hypothyroid. I've definitely had health challenges, digestion to repair. All of it really does a number on your body. And there's been so much repair work involved that the extra weight that ended up putting on, you know, when I swung the other way, and due to having this history of really starving myself, my body started to become acclimated to really storing everything I ate because it had no idea when there was going to be a famine again, you know. It takes a long time to unravel that. It really does. People don't understand it. It's it's years and years and years and years of very deep work to recover from eating disorder. It's years and years and years and years of unraveling the emotional roots and changing the way your brain actually processes information, the way you look at things, your beliefs. It's years of repairing your self esteem, learning how to cope with difficult emotions in a new way. It's looking at a lot of stuff that actually has nothing to do with the food at all. And also accepting your body, you know, where it's at with all of the challenges that are present because you created it, you know, through abusing your body. So for a long time, I had a real resistance to even approaching fitness again because fitness used to be a way that I would punish myself in the past if I ate something I felt like I shouldn't eat, or if I felt like my body wasn't matching up to this ideal, I would punish myself with workouts. I did not have a healthy relationship with fitness, and it was all about aesthetics. It had nothing to do with my health, it had nothing to do with how I was feeling. And through the years of, you know, working with intuitive eating, and then, of course, eventually becoming an intuitive eating counselor because it was such a healing path for me. I wanted to be able to share that with other people who were struggling and to empower them. I really came to appreciate my body in a new way, to relate to my body in a new way, and to accept my body on a very deep level. And it's just in these past few years that I've really realized, like, wow, I'm really recovered. Like, I'm recovered. I'm there. I don't have eating disorder anymore, you know? And it's this interesting experience when you go through eating disorder recovery. You know, they kind of tell you you're always going to struggle with this. This is always going to be an issue for you. You know, you always have to be mindful that you could backslide, you know, and go back to that place again. And I really realized that that also was just like this projection that I didn't need to take on. And I did the work. And I learned how to really love myself. I learned how to really love myself and accept myself and embrace my body where it's at. And it's so amazing to me. It's such a turnaround, you know. I never criticize my body anymore. I never look at my body and have negative self-talk enter my head, you know. um, I'm so focused on self-care, and that has everything to do with what I've learned through Ayurveda, just deeply tending to my body. I've learned how to move through difficult emotional experiences without hitting the eject button, and being able to stay very present with what I'm feeling and moving through it without having to turn to any kind of crutch, without having to, bury it under a binge, or without having to starve myself and ignore the hunger in my stomach as a way to feel some false sense of control, because emotionally everything felt like it was spinning out of control. These were my old patterns, but I did the work and I integrated all that shadow material. And I heard somebody say not too long ago, it was some psychologist was like, you can't integrate your shadow. Yes, you can. You absolutely can integrate your shadow. You can. And you will always have a shadow. Everybody will always have a darker side to their nature, where they have their unhealthy patterns, or a tendency to do things that, um, you know, aren't really in their best interest. But when you have done this work and you've integrated your shadow, you've learned how to embrace even that part of yourself, because you understand that those places in you that feel compelled to act out of the shadow are places that they have a lot of pain, they have a lot of wounding. And when you've gone down to the very roots of that, recovery happens and you recover yourself, you reclaim yourself. So I've really had this beautiful experience in my healing journey over the past few years, where I realized, what they told me, it's not true. Like, I don't have eating disorder anymore. I have absolutely no desire to harm my body in any way. I have no desire whatsoever to go hungry or to make myself uncomfortable by binging or purging or doing any of these things that I used to do. Okay. When I was an anorexic, and then later on down the road, as I was trying to work on recovery from anorexia, I sort of experienced a little bit of a transference, and I developed more of a kind of like a bulimic pattern for a little bit. And then that kind of stabilized. And at that point, I became very, very heavy, very, very heavy. And so part of the reason why I'm on this journey is because all of this weight that still remains on my body, and I have released a very significant amount of weight over the years from my highest point, and I've maintained it because it was done naturally. It wasn't done through a diet. It wasn't done through restriction. It was just simply done through listening to my body. And I've had to respect the pace my body wanted to release that weight as I went through this experience. I couldn't have goals about how many pounds I wanted to lose in a week, or how many inches I wanted to see fall off of me, in a week. I couldn't keep track of things like that because I couldn't put the focus on the aesthetics. It became very necessary for me instead to focus on other points of success, like how I was feeling, the rise in my self-esteem, and just noticing like, oh, I'm able to, I'm able to move more freely. I'm sleeping better. Things of this nature. So, you know, I avoided really getting into serious training for a long time, you know, based on, first of all, not wanting to go out of balance with it, not wanting to go to a place where I felt like I was pushing myself too hard and might kind of tempt those old patterns to resurface. But I really realize, now that it's not even an option. It's not something that's going to happen. It's an unreasonable fear that I don't need to cling to anymore. And I really realized that over the past couple years. And so then it kind of became this thing where it's like, well, I am ready, to release this weight. And since I'm not going to go on a diet and I'm not going to restrict myself, the last remaining thing to do is to, move my body more and, change my body composition by building muscle, which will have a positive effect on my metabolism. And then my body will end up where it ends up. I don't have any kind of a weight goal. I don't weigh myself. I don't have a size goal. Okay. I have none of that. I want my body to be in its happy place, the place where it's easy to maintain. I don't have to restrict myself to stay there. I don't have to exercise in a way that feels punishing and not pleasurable. And so I'm ready to get to that place, where I feel really fit, where I look my best, whatever size that ends up being, you know. And it took me a lot of work to get to that place. And I'm honestly there. I really am. I'm honestly there. I really do feel nothing but total love and acceptance for my body. So I feel really positive about that. But it would be nice, to I know I'm at a size that's not the healthiest for me. And my body tells me that by how I feel. And as I've done this Chloe Ting challenge, I've just felt like my body coming to life again. And that's been such an inspiring experience for me to be able to move more freely in my body, to feel stronger in my body, and to be able to move my body in dynamic ways that honestly I have not been able to do since I was in my 20s. And that's what I've gotten out of this challenge. It's been amazing for me. So I've talked about that a lot in these vlogs, just I've been so surprised by my athletic performance and how much has shifted for me just internally, how I'm feeling about myself, the rise in my confidence, all of that. It's been such a wonderful thing for me. Yeah, it's been a big moment. So here I am, on this cleanse, and here comes my period out of nowhere. And, it kind of felt like this like derailing moment because I was really curious to see like, well, what kind of results am I going to get with doing the Ayurvedic cleansing and doing the Chloe Ting challenge? And I hit this point in middle of the week. It was after about, the third day of, workouts in the last week there. And I had just the worst cramps. I was in a lot of pain. I was so exhausted. And, there's that one day of active rest we have in the final week. And it was scheduled for the very last day. But I'm going to do a week of active rest. And I know we talked about this before, that I had considered maybe just moving it and putting it in middle of the week. And I did end up deciding to do that. I switched days around. So I finished the Chloe Ting challenge on a workout day instead of ending it on an active rest day. And I still stayed on schedule. I didn't miss any days. I finished the challenge right on time on the same day. Didn't miss any days. I just reworked it and swapped a workout day for that active rest day and changed the order and let myself have that time to drop in and take care of my body. And, there was just this little twinge, this little moment like, well, maybe I should just get my workout in, really late at night. I had this like thought, maybe I should just get it in, and just, not change the order. And it's like I caught it, like this like perfectionistic tendency coming in, and also this realization of how hard it is for me to just like let go and like let myself receive and nurture myself. So I'm proud to say that I gave myself a talking to and said, Shannon, it's okay. It's okay to listen to your body and to move the order of the workout so you can have your active rest today and you can give yourself what you need. And I'm so glad I did that. And it allowed me to have the rest my body needed And then I got back to it, and it was still more intense of a workout because I've added weights this round. And I still had, an extra workout this final week. I had 6 days instead of 5. So the intensity was still there. Plus, I was pairing it with the, Ayurvedic cleanse work I was doing. So it ended up working out just perfectly. And I've now officially started my active rest week. And I will be starting my next challenge at the end of this week of active rest. And I'll be doing the Chloe Ting toning challenge. It's her new toning workout challenge, and it's more focused on strength training, and she just put it out. So I'm excited to do that, really looking forward to it. But I wanted to tell you about my results. Kind of a bummer because I don't really know what my actual results are because I'm still on my cycle. So I got a little bit of bloating going on and, the usual things that come with that. But that being said, I still got results, okay? And so I wanted to share the results up to this point. So the first round of the Chloe Ting challenge, I had released a total of 16.75 body inches, okay? And this round of the challenge, I have released 12.5 total body inches. So today, after 2 rounds of the Chloe Ting challenge, the Chloe Ting 2022 weight loss challenge, I have released 29.25 total body inches. Holy cow. And last round, during my week of active rest, I still released inches. That 16.75 was actually reached because I had released an additional 1.25 inches during my week of active rest. So I'm keeping track of all this stuff, and I'm also keeping track of my before and after photos. And I'm not sharing them yet, but I will share them when I'm ready to share them. But I am keeping track of them for Chloe because I know that it's something that she really likes to have. And I very much appreciate all this training and all this support and everything she's created. And it's all just for free. It's just this wonderful offering that she's given the community. And so I want to support her in that by, putting myself out there when the time feels right in this process for me and sharing my before and after photos. But it's a big step for me. And I am going to respect that I need to do that when it feels right to me. My waist measurement this week, it stayed the same. So I didn't put anything on. I didn't release anything. I lost a total of 1 inch off my waist this round of the challenge. And we'll see. It might change after my week of active rest because all that bloat will be gone from my cycle. So who knows? I might have something more to report, when I start the next challenge, because I always kind of talk about my starting point with each round of the challenge that I do. So that's where I'm at. I'm really proud of myself. I'm doing this challenge with a bunch of people that are a lot younger than me, and yeah, I'm glad I took the leap. It's really brought my fire forward, and it's inspired me, and it's shown me that I'm capable of so much more than I thought I was. And I feel so good. It's been nothing but beneficial for me. These challenges have rehabbed some injuries I've had, long-standing injuries. I'm moving so much better in my body. I feel so much better in my body. I don't have any back pain or hip pain or knee pain or ankle pain like I had before. It's just amazing to me. I've recovered like so much cardiovascular health, and I'm just so grateful for it. And I'm committed to this as a lifestyle, regardless of what happens. Even if I weren't to release any more inches, I'm going to keep this up. I'm going to keep up this practice. So I'm going to trust where my body lands, where it chooses to, settle at its happy place. And I'm just going to keep taking good care of myself. So thank you to all of you who have been following along and sharing your comments. The support's meant so much to me. And there you have it. Another round of the challenge down, and next one to come a week from now.